This audio reading is from the book John Ploughman's Talk, Plain Advice for Plain People by Charles Spurgeon. Our selected reading is Chapter 9, Thoughts About Thoughts. Very little of this paper is to be set down to the account of John Ploughman, for our minister, as I may say. Found the horses and held the plough handles. The ploughman only put in a smack of the whip every now and then, just to keep folks awake. 2 heads are better than 1, said the woman when she took her dog with her to market, begging his pardon. Our minister is the woman, and the only sensible head in the whole affair. He is a man who is used to giving his people many things of a very different sort from anything which a ploughman is likely to turn out of his wallet. But I have, at his request, dropped in a few homely proverbs into his thoughts, as he says, by way of salt, which is his very kind way of putting it. I only hope I have not spoiled his writing with my rough expressions. If he thinks well of it, I should like a few more of his pieces to tack my sayings to, and the public shall always be honestly told whether the remarks are to be considered as altogether John Ploughman's talks, or as the writings of 2 characters rolled into one. There are not so many hours in a year as there may be thoughts in an hour. Thoughts fly in flocks like starlings and swarm like bees. Like the withered leaves in autumn, there is no counting them, and like links in a chain, one draws on another. What a restless being man is! His thoughts dance up and down like midges in a summer's evening. Like a clock full of wheels with the pendulum in full swing, his mind moves as fast as time flies. This makes thinking such an important business. Many littles make much, and so many light thoughts make a great weight of sin. A grain of sand is light enough, but Solomon tells us that a heap of sand is heavy. When there are so many children, the mother better look well after them. We ought to mind our thoughts, for if they turn to be our enemies, they will be too many for us and will drag us down to ruin. Thoughts from heaven, like birds in spring, will fill our souls with music, but thoughts of evil will sting us like vipers. There is a notion abroad that thought is free, but I remember reading that although thoughts are toll-free, they are not hell-free, and that saying quite agrees with the good old book. We cannot be summoned before an early court for thinking, but depend upon it we shall have to be tried for it at the last judgment. Evil thoughts are the marrow of sin, the malt that sin is brewed from, the tinder which catches the sparks of the devil's temptations, the churn in which the milk of imagination is churned into purpose and plan, the nest in which all evil birds lay their eggs. Be certain, then, that as sure as fire burns brushwood as well as logs, God will punish thoughts of sin as well as deeds of sin. Let no one suppose that thoughts are not known to the Lord, for he has a window into the closest closet of the soul, a window to which there are no shutters. As we watch bees in a glass hive, so does the eye of the Lord see us. The Bible says, "Shell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more then the hearts of the children of men?" Man is all outside to God. With heaven there are no secrets. That which is done in the private chamber of the heart is as public as the streets before the all-seeing eye. But some will say that they cannot help having bad thoughts. That may be, but the question is, do they hate them or not? We cannot keep thieves from looking in at our windows, but if we open our doors to them and receive them joyfully, we are as bad as they. We cannot help the birds flying over our heads, but we may keep them from building their nests in our hair. Vain thoughts will knock at the door, but we must not open to them. Though sinful thoughts rise, they must not reign. He who turns a morsel over and over in his mouth does so because he likes the flavour, and he who meditates upon evil loves it and is ripe to commit it. Think of the devil, and he will appear. Turn your thoughts towards sins, and your hands will soon follow. Snails leave their slime behind them, and so do vain thoughts. An arrow may fly through the air and leave no trace, But an ill thought always leaves a trail like a serpent. Where there is much traffic of bad thinking, there will be much mire and dirt. Every wave of wicked thought adds something to the corruption which rots upon the shore of life. It is dreadful to think that a vile imagination, once indulges, gets the key of our minds and can get in again very easily, whether we will it or not, and can so return as to bring 7 other spirits with it more wicked than itself. What may follow, no one knows. Nurse sin on the knees of thought, and it will grow into a giant. Dip rope in naphtha, and how it will blaze when fire gets to it. Lay a man soaked in depraved thought, and he is ready to flame up into open sin as soon as the opportunity occurs. This shows us the wisdom of watching every day the thoughts and imaginations of our hearts. Good thoughts are blessed guests and should be heartily welcomed, well fed, and much sought. This concludes chapter 9. Thank you for listening.